Lana O'Brien. I am a student at the University of Oregon, currently in Allen Hall, and I actually grew up here in Eugene, so native Oregonian. Woo. I don't floss at all, ever, except for like a day before I go to the dentist. But it always works out because my dentist loves me, and he's always like, oh, good job brushing and flossing, so I feel really guilty about it, but it's worked out. Like, I don't have any cavities or anything. Habits are created, I think, just by doing something in repetition, whether you realize it or not. I think people probably have the ability to create good habits if they want to, but in general, I'd say most of our habits are negative aspects that we just don't realize we're doing all the time. Probably I read before I go to bed. I'd say that's a pretty good habit. I've gotten through a lot of books just accidentally by 10 minutes every night, and then all of a sudden you're done and you didn't even realize it. So I'd say that's something that surprisingly adds to my education, while most things I do outside the classroom are the exact opposite. Maybe if I was forced to tell people how much I cared about them, if that would be a good habit, just always having to say I love you every morning and every night to my friends and family, that would probably be good. I definitely don't say that enough. So I'm only a halfway procrastinator, so I can't really say. I work better at the last minute under pressure for the most part, and a lot of times, especially, I'm studying advertising, and a lot of times ideas come to you at the very last moment, so it's almost beneficial to not really focus that hard until then, because that's when your best ideas come. So if you get stuck on your first idea in the very beginning, sometimes that can actually be a real negative, because you don't let your creativity actually fully come into fruition. So in certain instances, I don't know, working out, procrastination that usually doesn't help, because then it's dark and you're oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. So I'd say probably just depends. But something I love is growing up here in Eugene, and I was born on the coast and then have lived in Eugene ever since, and I am absolutely in love with the area and the Pacific Northwest in general. My family does a lot of hiking, and I snowboard, and so when in high school I did a study abroad, and surprisingly the number one thing I missed were the trees. I didn't really miss my family, didn't really miss my friends, but I just missed the evergreen trees so much. So I have to say I have some obscure, deep spiritual connection to the actual land and trees here. So it's definitely something I know I will forever love. Something that I really fear of not reaching my full potential. I really, really hope that by the end of my life I can say, yes, I did everything I want to, and I worked on every project 100% and gave it my all. Part of that stems from actually something that I lost. I feel in elementary and middle school I was very closed off and shy and just really obsessed with homework and that part of my life, and so I feel I lost a lot of the other things that are great about being a kid. I feel I was kind of born responsible, and ever since then I realized that I've almost worked in the opposite direction to try to make myself force myself to have fun and get out. So that's definitely something that I feel I lost, that is more or less kind of obscure but really, really affects me. So